Good morning and welcome to North Point. Springfield, you're looking good today. You look good today. Oh, and can you help me welcome our Nixa campus, our Republic campus, and our Dream Center campus? Good to have you. And you guys are looking good. I can't see you, but I'm just believing that. But I will say last weekend I got to be at our Republic and our Dream Center campus, and I noticed that you don't just see Springfield, you also see a couple heads on the front row right here, so be on your best behavior, all right? No, I'm just kidding, all right? But hey, before we get into our outline this week, I want to talk about next week for a moment, okay? On each one of your seats at your campuses, you're going to notice that there's this arrows out handout, okay? And what this is this is a 1-week giving initiative, all right? This isn't like a capital campaign. How do we raise money to make some upgrades on our facilities? Like what this is this is an initiative where when you come in next week, 100% of what's given goes outside these four walls to our community. And so we don't have like a financial goal that we're hoping to hit, but we do have a participation goal where our goal is that 100% of North Pointers would come in here and say, hey, what can I do? And when we leverage all of our resources together, I can just imagine the giant impact that we can make in our community. And we've got community partners. These are people who we just believe, like, if we tried to do something on our own, that like they just do it better. So that's why we don't try to be all things here at North Point, but we partner with our community who provides some phenomenal resources around. And so our goal is to partner with more community partners through this process, but also there's a few that we want to highlight. And one of those today is an organization called Crosslines. They got a video telling, hey, this is what we're all about. And so let's check it out.
Hi, North Point. We're so thankful to share with you today. At North Point, you say you want to create a safe place to find and follow Jesus. And we couldn't agree more. For us at Crosslines Community Outreach, living out that faith means moving people from scarcity towards security. Crosslines is a group of programs working right here in Southwest Missouri to prevent poverty, respond in crisis, and eliminate barriers that hold families back. My friend Nathan is going to show you firsthand what that looks like.
Hey North Pointers, I am currently standing in our pantry where more than 100 families a day receive emergency food support. Each visit offers nutrition, encouragement, and the dignity of choice as they work towards stability. And it doesn't stop there. Our Ambassadors for Children program gives kids in the foster care system the chance to pick out brand new clothes and provides resources, helping them feel valued and loved. And in local schools, our Math and Reading Buddy programs connect caring adults one-on-one with students, making learning fun through encouragement and educational games. And here in our Wish I May program, we pack birthday bags so that families don't have to choose between bills and birthdays, because every child deserves a birthday. And here is our diaper bank. We supply partners like the Dream Center with diapers to distribute to parents across the region so that they can keep their babies healthy. And when it comes to shelter, this is the project we're most excited about. We are building our new Safe to Sleep women's shelter right here on our campus, offering dignity and stability for women experiencing homelessness. And with that, I'll kick it back to Jamie.
From food and clothing to education, birthdays, diapers, and shelter, Crosslines brings multiple areas of need together under one roof, making it easier for neighbors to access the resources that help move them from scarcity to security. North Point, thank you so much for living with an arrows out perspective. Your faith in action is fueling real change for our neighbors, and lives are being transformed.
Well, I love that idea. That idea of faith in action, all right? I think that's important, okay? Because oftentimes, here's what I found, is that God uses people to impact people. And let's not be the kind of church that just prays for those in need, although I believe in prayer. I love prayer. Prayer is powerful. At the same time, let's not just pray, let's also play. Let's play a part, right? Like when we can pray, God, help meet some needs, and then we can also say, and what can we do to help do that as well? I think that's powerful. And so, This is our opportunity to do that. And so next week, I know I've already had people show up and say, hey, I'm not going to be here next week. How can I still give? And one of the ways you can do that is just hop online, and you could designate that arrows out. If you go to like the campus list, instead of giving to a campus, you can just give arrows out, and it'll go toward that. And so we're excited about that. And honestly, every time you come to North Point, our goal is to remove as many obstacles as possible so that people can see a clear view of Jesus. I just think this is one of the clearest views of Jesus we can give people because there are so many obstacles. And sometimes those obstacles are food. Those obstacles are shelter. Those obstacles are diapers. And we can help meet some of those needs in our community. And so everything we're doing, how do we point you to Jesus? And there may be unique approaches to be able to do that. But like even in our series, we've been in this series for the past couple months talking about invisible Jesus. Where is Jesus buried in the 66 books of Scripture? And we're going through every single one, all right? And so the unique thing is sometimes there'd be churches that would say, hey, there's tough topics. Let's avoid that. Let's lean away from that. Those are times that we dig in, right? You can't read the Bible with a highlighter in one hand and scissors in the other. You got to take it all. And so we're not skipping a book. We're going through every single one. And this is actually a milestone weekend because after this weekend, we will have gone through 22 of the 66 books and we will be a third of the way through. Can you believe that? Can you believe it? Some of you are like, I can believe it. Okay, so like, but even this week, okay, this week is one of those messages where, here we go. Okay, it's one of those messages where you might have been going to church for a while and you might not have ever heard a message on this book. The book we're talking about today, this book is known as maybe the spiciest book in Scripture. They might call it the freakiest book in Scripture, okay? This book is, we would say, intimate, okay? In fact, it's so spicy that young Jewish boys, they couldn't read or memorize this book until they reached a certain age because of the intimacy that it talks about, okay? And so it's a unique book. And so the book today that we're talking about is called Song of Songs, okay? Another Song of Songs, Song of Solomon. It's got a few different titles, but it translates to the greatest song. And there's a few unique things about this book, okay? One is that the primary voice in this book is a female. And so that's unique if you think about Hebrew literature. Like that's not a normal thing that a female would be the main voice. And so we get to hear a lot from her in this book. As well, there's two books out of the Bible that don't explicitly mention God's name. One is Esther, and the second is Song of Songs. And I want to remind you, just because God doesn't have a speaking role doesn't mean he doesn't have a leading role in this book. You're going to see his words, his principles littered throughout this book. But the third part is we've been in this poetry section of Scripture where the last 5 weeks, really, Job, Psalm, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and now Song of Songs, where I've talked about poetry, but I'm like, it's not the kind of poetry you think about. Well, this book is exactly the kind of poetry you think about, okay? This book is all about two lovers that are longing for each other, that are like they are sending messages back and forth, and it's all lovey-dovey, and it's so it'd be like nowadays, like reading a couple's text thread exchange, and like maybe not like a married couple's text, exchange, did you get the milk? Like maybe the spiciest thing you get is, hey, I think the kids are in bed. Okay, it wouldn't be like that kind of message exchange. This is like two lovers longing for each other, and they just can't get enough of each other. So some of the things they write, you're just so cute, and I love your dimples, I love your toes, and like we read it and we're like, ew, okay? But to them, it's like charming and beautiful. In fact, some of the things we write, okay, this is like the PG stuff that they write, where it says in Song of Songs 4, it says, your hair is like a flock of goats descending from the hills of Gilead. Okay? Your teeth are like a flock of sheep just shorn coming up from the washing. And he's laying it on thick here, right? He's like, you got all your teeth, hot dog, okay? Your neck is like a tower of David built with courses of stone. And maybe she got good posture. Okay, I don't know. But your nose is like a tower of Lebanon looking toward Damascus. And so if you're into noses, she got a good one, all right? But what this is probably less physical description of what these people look like and more of like what's the meaning behind some of these things that they're saying. And so even in these text message exchanges, okay, like they're going back and forth, and it moves from PG to PG-13 very quickly, okay? And so like they don't stop at like neck and nose. They go head, shoulders, knees, and toes, okay? And they get like the whole thing, and they start talking about certain body parts that resemble pieces of fruit. And he's like, I can't wait to climb that tree and grab hold of that fruit. And I gotta stop using hand motions, okay? So, but I'm like, my parents are here, so I'm gonna, I like, it's interesting, okay? Like they talk about like your mouth is like wine and I just can't get enough of it, okay? Like there's a part where they talk about a certain body part is like twin fawns bouncing in the lilies, and then they're like, let's go get a room in the village together. And so here's what it is though, okay? It's graphic, it's descriptive, and there's even better parts, okay? But what this is though, is it's these two lovers, and it follows them all the way from like courtship, and they're betrothed to be married to each other, and then to marriage, and then they have kids, and they, their bodies change, yet they're still in love with each other, and they grow old together, and ultimately it heads to death. And last week, or a couple weeks ago, we talked about Ecclesiastes, okay, the last book, right next to Song of Songs. Ecclesiastes was all about death, and death is the great equalizer. Death gets us all. One day, all of us will die. Okay. This book, Song of Songs, this book is about something as strong as a death. In fact, this is what they say in the book. They say this, is that love is as strong as death. Love is as strong as death, and that's what this book is all about. And some of you, like maybe you know that power of love. You've experienced that, right? Show of hands, how many of you have ever been in love? Okay? If you're married, just raise your hand, okay? Nixa, Dream Center. Yeah. And love has the ability to like make you crazy. Like the things that didn't mean anything before, now all of a sudden they mean something. Like it's this beautiful thing. It's powerful. And all of a sudden you're willing to sacrifice some things you love for someone you love. Okay? Like dudes, you used to spend your weekends sitting on the couch watching football, eating wings, and now you're going antiquing. And where's the next fall festival, right? Because you're going with someone you love. Okay? Like you used to spend every waking moment, you get on the links, right? You'd be golfing, and now you're at Hobby Lobby exchanging which throw pillow would look better, okay, on this couch. And like a breakfast for you. Breakfast of champions used to be waking up at 10 a.m. and you'd go hit the Casey's pizza, breakfast pizza, and now you're drinking that kale smoothie because we're on a cleanse, okay? And so you're willing to sacrifice some things you love because of someone you love. And dudes, you aren't the only ones, okay? Gals, you do this too, right? Your house used to look like an IKEA catalog, and now you're like, I guess I can find a spot for these 3 deer heads. I don't know where, but in the living room? Okay. Like your idea of a great dinner used to be like candlelight and beautiful, and now, you're at B-dubs watching 7 different screens of the game. It's just different, right? You used to have standards, and now you just pray he puts the toilet seat down, okay? And so, for real, like we are willing to sacrifice some things we love because of someone we love. It's the reality. Because love is powerful. Love changes us. And here's the deal. Everyone thinks about love a little bit differently because love comes with these expectations. We've been fed what love is. Like gals, how many of you ever dreamed of your wedding day? Hey, yeah. Guys, how many of you ever dreamed of your wedding night? Like it's just different. We have different expectations of love sometimes, and our society force feeds us what love is. And you hop on Instagram and you see that perfect couple with the perfect kids, and they look perfect, and you're like, that must be love, right? You turn on TV and you watch The Bachelor, and it's 25 guys fighting over one gal, and she picks the hottest one, and they live happily ever after, and you're like, that must be love. Side note, I don't think they ever live happily ever after, actually, but like that kind of love we watch in movies, we hear in songs, and it's this wild, crazy love. It sparks, fly, and that's kind of love, and it's all about a feeling, and if the feeling's not there, then what do? You follow that feeling, and it's crazy, and that's love, and that's what's important. But here's what's interesting is that one moment love can be so strong, and the next moment love can be gone. And we're like, well, I felt that, and now I don't feel that anymore. And what is that? Is there something wrong with me? Is there something wrong with love? Is it something wrong with them? And so many times, love can be confusing because we think love is a feeling. And this is what Song of Songs talks about. Song of Songs talks that love is more than a feeling. In fact, here's what it shows us is that when Scripture talks about love, it refers to what we do, not how we feel. So when we look at Scripture, when we talk about love, okay, it's what we do, not how we feel, which is so backward from what we think. We're like, no. Love starts with a feeling. No. Love starts with butterflies and, makes my heart drop and I get antsy when I'm around them, right? Love is like, you swipe on Tinder and you're like, yeah, I think I could feel feelings for that person, right? Like that's love. Like we're like, no, it starts with a feeling. That's what it goes for. But actually, it's a byproduct of what we do. Like, I don't think this is crazy. Like we get this, right? Like, I got to officiate a wedding last weekend in St. Louis, and we had a North Point couple who got married, Caitlin and PJ. Congrats! But it's cool when they got together, okay, and they got up there for the ceremony, and they started reading their vows. Their vows weren't like, "Hey, I promise to always feel in love with you." Their vows weren't like, "Hey, I promise to always make you feel in love with me." If they said that, I'd be like, "I don't know you can promise that." Like we would never say that. In fact, our vows are way different. Our vows are actually the opposite. They're like, hey, I'm actually going to stand by you in sickness and in health, through adversity, through prosperity, through richer, for poor. Actually, when the feelings fade, that's when I stand in the gap because it's what I do, not always how I feel. And we get that, but we don't process that. And when we start a relationship, we're like, it's feelings. Feelings are what's important. But that's not what works. And so I don't know where you land today. Maybe you've been the type of person that's chased feeling after feeling after feeling after feeling, and now you don't feel those feelings anymore, and you're like, am I failing? Like, is there something wrong with me? Is there something wrong with love? What is going on? I think today can be helpful for you. Maybe for others of you, you're sitting here, and maybe you're married. And what started as a feeling, now you got a couple kids and you're like, I don't know if I feel that feeling anymore. Like I'm questioning that feeling. How should I bring back that feeling? Should we work on that feeling? Should we give up on that feeling? Will that feeling ever come back? Oh, we're going to talk about that. And maybe for some of you, maybe you're single today. Maybe you desire a relationship. Maybe you just feel like love is complicated. Hey, I think today's going to be helpful for you. Even if you're sitting out here and you're like, hey, I'm not desiring a relationship. We're going to talk about love and some aspects of that go far beyond a marriage. And I think this is going to be helpful for you. And so wherever you land as we talk about love, I think there's principles that we can pull that are going to be so helpful. In fact, even as we say love today, like I get that love is an ambiguous term. Like I could say that I love my wife and I love my kids and I love you all. And I love my 2 kittens, kind of. Okay, I love Taco Bell. I do. I love it. Okay, I love like there's lots of things. I love the Chiefs. Okay, like I love a lot of things. Amen, brother. Okay, I love a lot of things. Now I love all those things differently, but we have one word for love, and it kind of hurts that word. It doesn't give it the credibility that it deserves. Well, in the Hebrew language, which Song of Songs is written, they actually talk about 3 different kinds of love. 3 different kinds of love. They actually have 3 different words for those, for love as well. And these words are going to be important to hold on to because they build on each other. In fact, one of these first words that we look at is called raya. Raya. And so raya would be known as a friendship love. It's a friendship love. And this is what they kind of talk about it like flames, okay? And so raya would be like, like this, okay? You can turn it on and you can turn it off. What it is it's connection based. You can come over here to this person and you can have a raya love. It's a connection. You can turn it off. You can come over here and you can turn it on and you can turn it off. And this is like anything that just sparks like it's like hanging out with someone, okay? This is raya. It's like asking questions and getting to know them. That's like a raya kind of love. It's friendship. And there's nothing wrong with this love. Actually, this love is beautiful. This love is the kind of love, like by the way, if you're not looking for a marriage, if you're not looking for more, this love is perfect in the way that it is. And you don't need to wait around for a guy to save you. 2,000 years ago, you already had a God that saved you, okay? And you are whole, you are enough, and you are complete. If you don't need more, that's fine. This love is beautiful. Now, here's the deal. If you're with somebody and you're hoping for more and you keep sparking that Raya love and they don't want any more, this is called getting friend zoned, okay? You just stay right here. And that's fine, okay, because this is a beautiful flame. This is a beautiful flame, and it's a helpful flame, and it's a needed flame. And if you want to go to the next flame, if you want more, well, here's what it takes. It takes this Raya flame, and it moves it to a new flame, and that flame is called Ahava. Ahava. This would be the like a committed love. A committed love. So the first one's a friendship love. This is like a committed love. Okay? This would be, this is called love of the will. This is more than a friendship. It's saying, hey, we have a friendship. Now let's pair our lives together. We would call this a covenant. We would call this marriage. This is the kind of love that just like it burns and it keeps going. It's beautiful because in a love like this, you can feel so safe because you're committed to each other. And this is great love, especially like if you want to get married, like this is beautiful. At the same time, I know that sometimes it's easy because this thing just burns. Okay, it just goes. Like you don't have to think about it. I could set this down for my entire message and it will just keep burning. And here's the problem is that sometimes this kind of love, this committed love, sometimes it will lull you to sleep. And if you don't add fuel to it as it burns in the background, it will eventually die. Now it will burn for a while, but if you don't add fuel, it will eventually die. And for some of you, maybe you're in a ahava love. You've got a committed love with someone, but you don't have a lot of friendship and you don't have a lot of passion. And you're like, yeah, but we're committed and we don't throw around the word divorce because we're married and by golly, we're gutting this thing out. And you feel like roommates with a ring. I want to let you, like there is more. There is more. And if this is the only flame you got, it's good, but there's more. Right? What does a friendship look like? What does passion look like? And so I know people maybe in this spot where you're like, we're committed. You're like, I wonder what will happen when the kids leave the house. Like, are we going to realize if we're friends, we're committed, but we're going to find out even more, right? So this flame is great, but it actually talks about one more flame. Okay, and this is what we call this the Dode flame, okay? This is Dode. This is like, oh yeah, this is what you read about in movies and TV and music. This is like the intense, passionate flame. We're like, this is awesome. This is amazing. This is crazy. Like, this is the kind of love we're like, I hope I get, but it doesn't last forever. It burns out. But it's intense and it's passionate. And we're like, and a lot of times, here's what we do. We start with this flame. We're like, I gotta find someone that I can experience some Dode love with. Hold on. I don't want to go too far in this relationship, okay, because I got to make sure that works. I got to make sure that's feeling good. But the problem is, it doesn't last very long. It eventually burns out. And here's what you're stuck left with. You're like, now what do I do? Maybe I got to hook up to another tank to keep this thing going. Like, what does this look like? This flame alone, here's what it is. It's easy, it's fun, but there's not a lot of depth to it. And this flame, by the way, it's worth the wait. But it can't be the beginning flame. These flames build on each other. And so many times in our culture, we start with that flame, and we're like, that's the flame I need. But then that flame goes out, and you're like, okay, I guess I got to find somebody else. Well, it's because you missed the two flames leading up to it. And all three of these flames burning together burns better than one of them. Okay, it burns brighter than one of them. And if you're in a committed relationship with somebody, like you need all these flames. You need the friendship, you need the commitment, you need the passion. And by the way, each one of these flames, they are fine on their own. They can be beautiful on their own. If you just want a friendship, that's amazing. keep that going. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you want the kind of marriage, which is really, this book talks a lot about marriage, okay? Like the marriage principles you pull from this, it's two people in an exclusive relationship with each other. If you want the kind of love that lasts till death do you part, you need all three flames. You need those. And so even here's what it talks about when it talks about building from this raya flame, okay? What it says on this, it says, start with a friendship. Like, this is the kind of love. It starts with a friendship. It says this, that daughters of Jerusalem, I charge you, do not arouse or awaken love until it so desires. It says this 3 different times in Song of Songs, three different spots. It says, don't awaken love, okay? Don't arouse love until it desires. Don't rush into a dode love. It says, start with raya. Start with this. Take your time. Build a friendship. There is no rush. Like, learn everything you can about this person. Connect with them. This flame is so beautiful. In fact, I wrote it down this way, is that not everything we thirst for will satisfy us. Not everything we thirst for will satisfy us. So many times, like, we're like, fine, I'll do that, and I'll spark this up, and I'll keep this going for a few days, and then I'm like, hey, let's move to a different kind of love. And what they're saying is, take your time. Take your time. Because here's what I found, is there's so many people that are willing to be physically naked with you, but they're not willing to be emotionally or spiritually naked with you. This is what it starts with. And maybe right now you're in a marriage, and you don't feel like you got a lot of this. That's a tough spot to be. What would it look like this week if you invested in this kind of flame? What would it look like if you invested in this kind of love? You know you got this, and it's fine. Dudes, you're kind of hoping you get more of the dode love, right? You're like, that would fix it, right? The dode love would fix it. And I'm like, hold on. What you need is take some time on this friendship flame. What would it look like to spend 10 minutes a day connecting with your spouse? What would it look like 10 minutes before the kids wake up, 10 minutes after they go to bed, where you don't turn on Netflix right away, but you ask each other questions. You find out hopes and dreams and desires of them. You learn everything you can learn about them. It can be so beautiful. You show me a great marriage, I'll show you 2 people that are great friends. And this is the goal, right? This is what we want to get to, because Song of Songs, it talked about these 2 people. They long for each other. They're looking through the windows and the ladders of each other's hearts. They're asking them every question under the sun, because here's the goal. We have this human longing. The human longing is to fully know and to be fully known. We want that. We have this longing that we want someone to fully know us and accept us and love us, and we want to fully know someone else. And when you get to that spot and you're like, hey, we want to take this to the next flame. We want to move to ahava. We want to move to a covenant relationship. The thing about this flame is it could be the safest flame and it could be the scariest flame. Because when you get to this spot, you fully know them and they fully know you. And they can use that knowledge to love you, to help you, to believe in you, or they can use that knowledge to hurt you. And what it takes is the longer you take with this, the more you become fully known and you fully know them. The more that you can look at what kind of safety would they bring if they knew everything about me. In fact, what's interesting is when I look at our lives, we talk about here at North Point, we want to be a safe place. And there's so many North Pointers that model this. And we go outside these 4 walls, and we're safe people in our community, and we're safe people at our ball teams. We're safe bosses. We bring safety physically to our kids. We're safe spiritually, but we go home and we don't know how to bring safety to our spouse. And here's what it starts with. Song of Songs, it talks about little foxes. They talk about, actually, it's the little words you use that bring safety and honor to your relationship. These little words. Now, I don't know if I did an audit of your life And you don't even need to be married for this. But like if I looked at the last few things that you said, like what would they be? Would those things, like would I'm sorry pop up in your vocabulary? Would I'm proud of you pop up in your vocabulary? Would I appreciate you and I love you? Would those be some of the words? Or would you be, hanging out with your friends and you're cracking jokes about someone else and what they said? And these are the kinds of things that you would beat somebody up over when you were dating this person. But now that you're spouses, you're like, whatever. The little foxes will ruin your relationship. This is what it says in Song of Songs. It says, catch for us the little foxes. The little foxes that ruin the vineyards are vineyards that are in bloom. So they're saying once you've reached this kind of love, this committed kind of love, okay? You've got this ahava flame. There are little things that are going to attempt to take this flame out. And a lot of times, it's the little words that make a big impact. Okay, these foxes, the little foxes that would run in the vineyards, they were so small that they couldn't climb up and just eat the grapes off the vineyards. So what they would do is they would chew at the base of the vine, and they would take out the entire vine, and they'd actually take out the vineyard at the root. And this is what it says in your marriage. Like, take care of these things. Watch these things. Look at these things. In fact, this is what I wrote down, is that the little things are the big things because of the big impact little things can have. It's a tongue twister. But the little things are the big things because of the big impact that little things can have. And every time if I counsel a couple or I'm walking through just a relationship dynamic, generally you don't just like wake up one day and you're like, I think I want to have an affair. Like in a loving, good relationship? No, you wouldn't do that. Sometimes it's not the big things. It's these little things that stack. It's these little things that build. Oftentimes when you have a disconnect with your spouse, it's some little thing you said weeks ago that built and built and built and built. And how do you take the time to say, hey, let's search our vineyard. Let's search our love. What are those little things? What are those little digs? What are those little words that we've been using that are making a big impact on our marriage right now? Because the words that you use, they can bring safety and healing and honor, or they can start to take out that flame. In fact, there's a story of a gal who, she lived in a small village, and it was custom that like when a man wanted to marry a woman, he'd go to the woman's dad, and he would offer him a dowry. Maybe you've heard of this, right? Like maybe it'd be a dove, maybe it'd be a chicken, maybe it'd be like a goat. And every once in a while, when a guy really wanted to marry a gal, he'd give them a cow. Okay, like, oh my word. He's like, no, I really want to marry this girl. Like, I'm gonna give you a cow because I want to make sure I'm the guy who gets to marry her. Well, there's a gal in town who, she came from a big family. Okay, she wasn't very noticed. She had sisters that were honestly quite a bit prettier than her. She had, she just didn't have a lot of self-esteem. Like she was the kind of person doesn't like to be the center of attention. She would like blend into the wallpaper if she could. And her love life was not very apparent, okay? She felt looked over. She felt picked over. She felt left over. And honestly, that became her personality. That became her identity. She'd walk around town. She'd just keep her head down. And she didn't want to make a big, she's not trying to make a scene or anything like that. Well, one day there's a guy in town that noticed this gal. This guy was a dime, okay? This guy was like the guy that every gal wanted to be with. But this guy was like, he just became infatuated with this girl. And like at first people are like, what? But this guy was so over the top with it. This guy was like, I'm in love with this gal. This guy would like write her letters. This guy would like write her songs. This guy would like profess his love for her in public. This guy would like always want to be like seen with her. This guy, when he talked to his friends, he'd like just talk about how much he loved this gal. And eventually it came time one day where he wanted to marry her. And so what he did is he went to her dad and he offered him a dowry. And he didn't offer him like a chicken or a goat. He didn't even offer him a cow. He offered him 10 cows. And like no one in the village had ever even heard of that. They're like, this is insane. Like this is crazy. Like Like, that's over the top. And here's the deal. There became this reputation that there's this girl. She's called the 10-cow girl. Wouldn't you like that nickname? Okay. But she was the 10-cow girl. People would walk around. They'd be like, that's the girl. That's the girl. And all of a sudden, you'd see this girl. Like, the change was instant. She'd walk around with her head up. She's the type of person, people would, like, bring her in and be like, hey, let me ask your opinion on this. They would invite her to galas. It was like this giant ordeal where all of a sudden, the demeanor in her changed because of the way that this guy loved her. I just gotta let you know, one, that's a marriage message, okay? Like, if you have a spouse, honor her, respect her, love her, honor him, respect him, love him, because they usually rise to the occasion. Honor begets honor. When you honor someone, they rise to that level. And I wanna let you know, and I know it's a marriage message, you got a God that thinks that way about you. So when you walk, you don't walk with your head down, you walk with your head up, that you are loved, that you are enough, that you are cared for. And I don't care if you're married, I don't care if you're single, I don't care if it's complicated, I don't care if you're single again. Like, you got a God that thinks that way about you. And yes, God gives us all these three flames, which is so beautiful. At the same time, our gift back to God is to reflect those flames to him. And it can be amazing, the words that you choose. In fact, when you're able to talk about your spouse with that kind of honor and safety, after safety comes intimacy. And that's into me you see. I fully know you, you fully know me. We are safe together. And guess what comes next? That dode kind of love. And it can be beautiful, and it can be passionate. It can be everything you ever wanted, and it's worth the wait. In fact, here's what Song of Songs writes about. When you've got all these three flames burning as one, this is what love looks like. It says, for love is as strong as death, and jealousy is as relentless as the grave. Love flares up like a blazing fire, a very ardent flame. No amount of water can quench love. A raging flood cannot drown it out. If a person tried to exchange all of their wealth for that kind of love, then he would surely be rejected. That's the kind of love you can't buy. It can't be quenched. Little foxes can't take that love out. That's the kind of love that lasts till death do us part. And so where's Jesus found in Song of Songs? Well, Jesus is our matchmaker. He's our matchmaker. And this isn't like, hey, he's going to match you up with the perfect person that completes you. Okay, that's not what I'm talking about. Okay, that's not even biblical. But here's what he's going to do. What Jesus is going to do is Jesus is going to spark a flame where you maybe thought a flame died. And there may be a spot in, maybe you're in a relationship and you're like, I want a friendship. Jesus can spark that match. He can give you that flame, and then it's our job to protect that. Maybe for some of you, it's in a covenant, and you're like, God, can I have two committed people that are not just committed to marriage, but committed to each other? And he can re-spark that flame. And it can be beautiful. It's our job to take care of that flame when he does that. And by the way, I'm not saying that like everything is going to look the way that you think. Sometimes he's going to spark a flame that you're going to be like, oh, that's not what I imagined. Okay? Sometimes you thought a relationship was going to happen and you've been praying, God, would you spark a flame? And it just ain't working. Would you bring her back? Would you bring him back? Here's what I do know, though. I believe God can spark a flame of love. That's our job to protect. And that might look like a friendship. That might look like a commitment. That could look like passion. And I also know this isn't just a flame for love, but this is a flame for life. That maybe for some of you, this spark is more than love. We come into church and we're hoping for the flamethrower kind of Jesus. Would you fill me up and let's be passionate? Here's what he gives you. Oftentimes he gives you a little flame. And it's our job to protect that. It's our job to care for that. Now, I don't know what that looks like in your life. I know he can spark a flame. And then our job, what does it look like? What does it look like? Maybe we go to a counseling session. Maybe we take someone out for dinner and we apologize. Like there are some steps that we take when he sparks a flame. But I know a lot of us, we've been trying to do this love thing without Jesus. And it's impossible. You need him. He's going to spark a flame that you thought died. He's going to give you the tools to be able to protect that flame. and to have a safe, loving covenant, a safe, loving friendship, and safe, loving passion with each other. And so I hope that a message like this, I know it can bring some thoughts. It can bring some reminders of maybe ways that we've missed the mark, but my prayer is that this message is hopeful. What I believe the enemy tries to make hurtful, God can make hopeful. And you may feel like your life is falling apart. I want to let you know, today you can start over and you can make the rest of your life the best of your life. You can. And maybe for you, you feel like things are falling apart, but that actually might be the thing of things falling in place to invite Jesus, the matchmaker, back into your life. I want to pray that we'd be able to do that today. God, I'm so thankful that you give us this expression of love. And God, I pray that all throughout this room, we'd receive that. God, wherever we need that flame spark, that God, you'd do that and you'd give us the tools, not just to feel something, but to do something with that. And that this would be a moment that you would illuminate something so beautiful within inside of us. And that God, that the way that we experience that love, that we would reflect that love as well to you. In your name, amen. Amen. Well, I know at each one of our campuses, okay, in your seats, or maybe you picked it up at the door or at the table, you've got these connection cards. And I know maybe you've passed over these 100 times, but maybe this is the 101st time and you pick this up. And any way we can help, any way we can resource you, any way we can just connect with you, we'd love to do that. Whether it's marking a next step, whether it's writing down a prayer request, whether it's putting something in the I will statement, we want to partner with you. As well, I want to invite the ushers forward at all of our campuses. This is also our opportunity to give. And I'm excited about next week and the impact that's going to make. And I want to remind you that every week when you show up at North Point, you're not just giving to North Point, you're giving through North Point. We've got phenomenal community partners that make an impact. In fact, if you're here for the very first time, if you'd mark that first-time guest box, what we want to do is make a donation in your honor to a local nonprofit. So just by showing up today, you can know you made a difference in someone's life. And so, ushers, you can go ahead and pass those buckets at all of these campuses, and we can drop our cards, our giving in those buckets. And while we do that, I know I've had a lot of questions about where are we at in the search for our next lead pastor, and we got a video with a quick update for that. Let's check it out.